Can you try talking again?
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing.
You should be able to get her if you're listening.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh. Sorry, I got that right one.
Oh, Randyll's not having it.
Sorry. Hello. Testing, 1, 2, 3.
So I don't have a tripod for this guy, so
Right over there.
the one?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to set it up and then plug it in, I think the cord's over there too.
Cool. No, I'm glad you said something.
Hello. Testing.
Someone count to 10 and now microphone.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I hear myself echoing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't know. No one said anything else. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing.
welcome.
Cool.
Let me know if the size is at good. I gained a...
Yeah. Well, I did go to the gym this morning.
Oh, you did?
Maybe things have changed already. Unfortunately, my only chance is to get up.
You have to get up early.
So I did this morning. See what happens.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. The only time I can work out's at early morning. Because by the time you end of the day, you're
Oh no,
exhausted.
yeah, that's just no way that's gonna happen.
Right.
Steve Berghold gave me a fob to get in here too, so I don't know. I might try to come in here early.
Oh, yeah, but that...
Shoot some moves.
Yeah.
Hey, Sarah, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Hi, Sarah. I'm well. How are you? Were you teaching today?
What's that?
Were you teaching today?
No, I start
Okay.
tomorrow. And
Okay.
we don't start with
Hi.
kids until next week.
Okay.
So just some,
Mm-hmm.
prep training. Super excited. You started your new job, right?
Yeah, we started today in the rain.
Yes.
First day for school in the rain.
I know, right?
But the kids did
That's
not
funny,
care.
I'm
They
still
loved
poor,
it.
school is wet.
They were super excited. The mud. No, it wasn't cold enough to care yet.
As far as I know, we're all good for the recording.
Okay.
I remember when you were here.
You guys decide. Are you gonna?
Come on, Juliet. No.
Are the fees gonna be on there?
That was the one thing I said. This is when I went on there, contact me with the other stuff.
I feel like it's all good.
And that was like a week and a half ago.
Because, okay, so I mentioned to Lisa that, and we talked about this at policy, that it'd be nice to have a committee section.
Yeah.
Which, we can decide how much content we put on there, but I think like we should, like, at minimum, have like a description of the committee.
Who's
How
that?
often they meet.
Beautiful.
Oh, Lauren's daughter? Yeah.
I don't even know if you.
No, yeah, she was great.
Phil does them.
Her mic wasn't.
He does good.
Yeah, he does them. I would
A bit
imagine.
louder, huh?
I
What?
said we could hear her.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah.
Some
If you think it
for
would be a problem,
In fact, we told her mom there was, we just clapped. I'm like, that was the mayor and I.
yeah, just like anything else. There are some on the main.
So I don't think they won't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there might have been ages ago.
Okay.
You know, why
Yeah,
I just
so,
thought of-
but I was thinking like so maybe policy committee could work on, we talked about it, maybe working on the description.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
right up there.
Great.
Group, and then,
Good to know.
Because we don't
Good
then
to check.
approve
Yes.
minutes from the subcommittee because you wouldn't know.
yeah, we don't need, I don't think we need to do that. Right?
I'm ready if you guys are.
Give us a,
Are we waiting on?
I think we're waiting on it.
Sarah, what's up? We're good?
We don't have the,
Is the
You know,
student advisory council coming today?
no, we weren't quite ready for that. Next time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a copy of the warrants, so you could use mine.
I just need the top main sheet that has the total.
Are we expecting Phil?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just not sure if you got the memo.
Oh, can you text him?
Yeah. I have-
Okay, okay.
We're working on it. But I do have a copy for myself.
Will that suffice?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because I can sign the other copies after he gets here.
Correct. That's what you need, right?
Yeah, yeah, yep. It's his version.
On a roll?
His copy. I just have to read it.
Sarah, we're good? All right, let's get started if we're already here. For the special Tuesday, September 6th school committee meeting brought to you from my old high school gym, which is now the high school library. Mrs. Kennedy, could you call the roll, please?
Mayor Reardon,
I am here.
Ms. Hall,
Here?
Mr. Callahan,
Here.
Ms. Walker,
Present?
Ms. Spalding,
Here?
Mr. Menon,
Here.
Mr. Cole,
Here.
all present.
All right, could we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I will now turn it over to Vice Chair Sarah Hall.
Hey, are we just sharing this mic?
Oh, I don't know.
Seems like we are, so, okay, that's good. Do we have anyone here for public comment this evening? Okay, seeing none, I'll move on to the consent agenda. Mr. Callahan, any warrants?
Yes, we have, I'm okay, I'm all right, Phil. We have 3. I move the following named bills of the Newburyport Public Schools amounting to the aggregate $278,027.35 be approved and forwarded to the city auditor for payment. There are no conflicts.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Great, we have no minutes to approve this evening, so we are on to our student recognition. Superintendent?
All right. Well, thank you very much. We're looking forward to hearing our building administrators talk about the opening of school this past week. So we've had a lot of happy faces. Everyone is glad to be back. But for the opening day, for our teachers to come back, there's a few people we'd like to recognize. First of all, our student athletes from various sports teams, as well as our band teachers in our band, Steve Cohen, and his musicians for providing music and greeting and cheering district staff as they enter the buildings in the auditorium on opening day. So that was really nice and special. Had I would say over 130 students that came out early morning to root on their teachers for the opening day. But we'd also really like to take a moment for a special recognition to Sarah Ann Hajar, a 7th grade student at the Knox Middle School, for outstanding solo performance playing the fiddle on stage in front of the entire district. So even for superintendents, first day of school, we all are a little bit nervous and might have a little anxiety, but Sarah Ann played in front of over 400 staff members, did a wonderful job, and really, I think, just set the tone for a very positive day and really kicked off the year. So with that being said, we have a nice certificate for Sarah Ann Hajar.
Superintendent, was that a violin or a fiddle that you played?
Well, you know, I only graduated, I used to play the triangle. And then after the triangle, that was the end of my music career.
dinner time triangle.
It was the fiddle, I believe.
Yes, it was the fiddle. Yes. She did an awesome job. And I'd like to have Mayor Randy, could you also come up for a photo up here? So here's your certificate. Thank you very much. Awesome job. We're very proud of you. I want you to hold that. Very cool.
Practicing for when you get your real diploma.
Nice.
And then we'll take a photo. All right. I'm going to take a picture over here. One over here for your family. For mom.
Look at the paparazzi.
So you need your ice cream. All right, thank you very much. Awesome job.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think we need to ask you to bring your fiddle next time, because I definitely missed out. I'm hearing rave reviews. Are we ready to get into opening week updates, Superintendent?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Also, just wanted to thank the mayor for being at opening day, and also some other members here, the school committee, and thank everyone for all their support. We had a great opening day, great opening of the school week, and I just wanted, before the principals talk about their opening days, I just want to thank them. To have smooth opening days throughout the district, from the Bresnahan to the Mullen to the Knock to the high school, having a very successful week last week, very positive, takes a lot of planning and a lot of dedication. So throughout the summer, our administrative teams really worked throughout the summer and prepped for the opening day and opening week. So I just want to personally thank them for all of their hard work. Also thank our central office team in the preparation. So instead of me going through it all, I'd like to have our principals just kind of talk about their opening day, how things went, and then also introduce some of their new staff throughout the district. So at this time, I'd like to call Ms. Sokolowski, Bresnahan principal, along with Mr. Monroe, the assistant principal. So there you go.
Thank you for having us. So the Bresnahan is doing great. The teachers are, we're so happy to have our staff together with us. Last week we did a lot of work together, just emphasizing the whole child, building relationship. Our school goal is to make sure that every child is connected to a caring adult and that they feel known and that they feel seen in school. So we talked a lot about social emotional wellness and our plan for the year. We also are rolling out a staff book club for the book Culturize, where every staff member gets a copy of this book, and throughout the year we've mapped out a pacing guide for us to read it together and have activities based off of the book to facilitate discussion and continue to build the relationship amongst the staff. In a moment you'll hear us read 25 new names off of this list, so we have a mix of veteran staff, people that have been there for years, people who have been hired in the past few years during COVID, and then this brand new crew of teachers. So we want to bring everyone together, and that's one of our biggest goals. Our teachers tomorrow will be trained in iReady, which is a collection of high-quality instructional resources that will help students access grade-level materials. It's an assessment tool, and it provides scaffolding support. So that's brand new to the district this year. We're really excited to start that training tomorrow. And we are also continuing with MyView and Foundations coming up on the first early release day. We'll continue with that rollout and continue to train staff. And we're also excited that we have started to rework the PE schedule and use our PE teachers and their expertise to provide some facilitation and activity throughout the day at recess times, and also during this new block called the Crew Block, which will focus on team building and social emotional learning, and again, just going back to the school goals that we have. So I would like to introduce our new staff members. I'll start by reading just our new teaching staff, and then Mr. Monroe will introduce our instructional assistants. So we have Sarah Barola, who is a special education strategies-based teacher in 3rd grade. Nick Bushnell, who has had a number of positions filling in for different leaves throughout the past few years, but he's now officially a 1st grade teacher. Olivia Clegg, who is now a 2nd grade teacher. Kelsey Giovanacci, special education teacher, co-teaching with Nick Bushnell. Tron Jost is our new cultural arts specialist, which is a new position that was granted in the budget this year. Erin Kelly, new special ed teacher. Jessica Shaw, occupational therapist. Courtney Lopes, ELL. Chloe Purcell, 3rd grade teacher. Olivia Perez, 1st grade teacher. Gabrielle Sergi, 1st grade teacher. Alex Suro, special education teacher, co-teaching with Qatar Harding in 2nd grade. And Paul White, a new kindergarten teacher. Last year we also had a few mid-year hires, people who were hired in the spring, and they've never been formally introduced. So I'd like to introduce Michaela Ayers, a special education teacher, Haley Budden, a math interventionist, Robin Gold, special education TLC, and Melanie Manso, school adjustment counselor.
And for our new IAs, we have Sarah Barcock. She'll be the IA in second grade co-taught inclusion. Lori Copen will be in strategies-based co-taught for second and third grade. Sandra Gray will be the IA in third grade co-taught inclusion. Kayla Hanlon, the IA in second grade co-taught inclusion. Anastasia Hansen, she'll be the IA in third grade co-taught inclusion. Maureen Ingalls, she will be in our language-based, our new language-based program for second and third grade. Rosie Peterson, she will be in our strategies-based program, second and third grade. And Katie Ruthier, who will be with pre-K, working with our IDC students. And I believe we still need one more.
One more
So if
IA.
there's anyone out there that's looking for an IA position, I believe it's posted on Schoolsmith. That's good.
What book are you guys reading as a school?
Culturized by Jimmy Cassis.
This isn't a question, but it might be nice sometime this fall to maybe have like a little demo of iReady for people. That would be kind of cool for people to get to see what iReady can do. Once you guys get into it a little bit, I don't know if Lisa could do that or something, but that would be cool at a school committee meeting to have that.
Utilizing K through 8.
What's that?
We're utilizing a K through 8.
Right.
Great.
Great, thank you.
Okay,
All
thank
right,
you.
Thank you. It's a great job, and I also got to ride the bus for the Bresnahan students, so I have some new bus buddies out there if they're watching. We had great conversations about Halloween candy, so I was unaware that the peanut M&M is really not a top choice of children today.
I feel like you grow into that one.
Is that what that, yeah, it's more of an adult.
Appreciate it
yeah.
when you get older.
All right, at this time, we'd like to bring up Miss Rossi and our new assistant principal.
Hi. So I'm very happy to introduce, and it's nice because there's a little history here with Mr. Cole and Miss CP.
That's right.
I'm happy to introduce Lee Curtis Pare as our assistant principal for the Mullen. Very happy to welcome her here. And I just like to say this little note of how Lee and I met. She took the Leslie University Trauma 1 class this summer. So it was good timing, it was coincidental, and it was fantastic. We had a lot of Newburyport staff taking that course again this summer. Start of the school year has been great. I mean, it's been very smooth. I think we had a principals meeting today, and we were all saying it's been really smooth. Everything's gone well. And we want to knock on wood. But you know what I think? Just having the kids back for the time that they were back in school last year, it does make a big difference socially and emotionally. Just being back in school last year and getting familiarized with rules, expectations. So it's been a smooth start, really smooth start. We do not have that many new staff members. We share with the NOC 2 new PE teachers, Sarah Dwyer and Emily Farrell, and they have been fantastic. We're really excited about PE because they're going to be able to do a lot of rotating through stations with Mr. Burgos. It's going to look very different. Nicole Jarris, who was an IA at the Mullen for a number of years, has moved into a 4th grade classroom teaching position. So that's exciting for us and for Nicole. We love her. We have a long-term sub in the 4th grade. It's Krista Padalaro. She is a Newburyport resident. She's lived on Plum Island for over 20 years. Big basketball player for Newburyport High School, just graduated from Framingham State. We're really happy to have her. And then, do you want to introduce our
Sure.
new IA and RBT?
So we have 2 new IAs, Brooke Delahunty, she's going to be working with 5th grade, and Isabella Rumbold, and she's a registered behavior technician.
And we're also still in need of one IA, so I'm
Yes.
just going to jump on the Mike Monroe bandwagon with that. So, thanks.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. I just want to comment on Lee Curtis, Pare, and also Katie Parsons, our new assistant principals. The wealth of, I guess, experience that they bring to the table within a short time is already paying off. every time I talk to them as superintendent, I get inspired and listen to their expertise. But I also, with Tara Rossi and Nick Marcos, that team at the Mullen and Knock is really formulating a great bond. So I just want to thank them for all their hard work, because sometimes when you're coming in as a new person into a district, you're kind of a little hesitant, trying to figure your way, and these two are movers and shakers. They get things done. So I really appreciate what they've already brought to the table. All right, at this time, I'd like to call up Mr. Marcos, Ms. Parsons.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. The great thing is Tara and I have already planned some off-campus lunches because our assistant principal is doing such a great job. So we can actually maybe sneak in a nap or two, because,
Boston or,
well, why not? We were actually thinking out of state so no one catches us, but, absolutely, absolutely. Courtesy of Mr. Gallagher. So, no, but the knock has really hit the ground running. It's really a testament, just like Superintendent Gallagher said. Katie has been just an absolute workhorse coming in, hitting the ground running from day one. Also just getting to know Lee a little bit better over the first few weeks that she's been here. Just really building a cohesive model of a 4 through 8 school, which is only going to benefit our students and obviously our faculty. I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you. I feel like we've hit the ground running as a partnership. As you guys have come in January, it makes, I know, my life and I know other principals' lives a lot easier by getting all these new positions. I think the one thing that we can hang our hat on as a public schools is we've moved our schools through a pandemic. So I'm truly looking forward to what we can do under, hopefully, some normalcy. So I just want to say thank you, because those new positions that we've been able to add over the few years are going to be instrumental for our students. NOC has a lot of things to be looking forward to. We're going ahead with our college and career readiness initiatives. By the springtime, we're hoping that each and every one of our school students will be on a college campus. So we're working with Aaron Smith over at the high school to plan some college tours for our students. Also, our advisory program has been a big hit. We had 2 staff members, Jen Groskin and Eric Shilga, both 8th grade teachers, create over 80 advisory lessons that will take us through the year. So that's going to be huge, and just supporting our students and just a nice soft landing for our students to come into the building. The Bresnahan beat us by 4. We've only added 21 new staff since last year, so it was a competition. They had just out here. Obviously, my wonderful assistant principal, Katie Parsons. A couple of our names are they're not new. We hired them in the spring, but I really want to highlight their work. Melissa Cody and Kim Van Twyver are 2 of our new office staff. They are really the backbone of our building. They have really just conquered every question that comes at them. They ask a bunch of questions, but I really want to just highlight their work, because we really could not do our jobs without them. Alyssa Jackson and Lindsay Longo are 2 new adjustment counselors. Helena Moray is a fellow in our counseling department. We're adding 4 instructional assistants, Grady Dick, Ben Batchelor, Ann Wolkovich, and Anna Vitum. 2 RBTs, Adriana Silvera and Alana Maraglia, who'll be supporting our sub-separate program. Tara has already highlighted Sarah Dwyer and Emily Farrell, and then I will pass it over to the wonderful Ms. Parsons.
Okay. No, I can see sometimes. So Michaela Venditti is joining us at the 7th grade math level. Mary Clark is a long-term sub right now for one of our teachers out on 7 Crimson as a science instructor. Olivia Coutier is a 7th grade science teacher. Victoria Lane is a special educator in the TLC program. William Thomas is joining us as an LTS in the World Language 8th grade team. Lindsay Green is an 8th grade special educator. Alessia Manzi is our 8th grade math instructor. And then we also have recently added Jessica Truhala as an EL instructor to work with Ms. Cruiser.
Thank you. All right. Last but not least, high school principal, Mr. Andy Wolf.
Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. So I'd like to introduce you to one of our new additions to our administrative team, Lauren Gee, who is now our new director of our guidance and student support services. So she started back in July, and it's just been, I feel like it's been smooth sailing and really hitting the ground running, because she really adopted
a lot of the scheduling. But it's been great, and she's been able to meet with the guidance department team and is meeting with a lot of teachers in regards to her kind of entry planning and really working to redefine our guidance and student support programming. So I'm very excited to have Miss Gee on board. It's been great. All right. Now, we do also have a decent number of new staff as well, but just to kind of highlight the opening, we did, as we do every year, we adjust our schedule over the first 2 days so that we can accommodate for a longer advisory block to help students kind of settle in, but then it allows us administratively to have our opening grade assemblies as well, where we do talk about kind of our goals for the school year with the students, but then also at the same time, routines and adjustments from the prior year that we want to have everybody on board with. And really our primary goals, and so one thing that I've really been working to push since I've been here is just that whole idea of a growth mindset and what that means. And so that was a big part that we really tried to capture during the opening assemblies, and also what teachers were then communicating to students during the advisory blocks they had over the first 2 days. But then the other part, which I kind of stole the language from the presentation that Sean had given last school year, is we're really driven that we want every single student, when they're at Newburyport High School, that they are able to say that I belong here. And that is a huge goal for us at Newburyport High School. We have, right now, 829 students enrolled, so it's a decent number of students. And, you know, the goal is that every single adult and student in the building is feeling that sense of inclusion and feeling welcome. And then kind of stealing that buzz phrase that I belong here. So it's very simple to sell that piece. The other part that we are doing differently this year from last year is with our Clipper block. So we've adjusted to make it, last year it was more of a flex period for students where they were able to make appointments with teachers, which they still are able to do, but we did lose out on some of that advisory stuff. And so we have scheduled in and blocked off times during the Clipper block throughout the year where students will be able to be working with their assigned teacher. All right. So for our new staff that we have, along with Lauren, so we have 3 new teachers in our special ed department. Ben Lang, who had been in a different role for several years. We have Thomas McNulty and Hillary O'Brien. And then we also have a new reading teacher, Marty Limbacher. We have a new social studies teacher who had been at the Knock Middle School last year, Kristen Prusinski. And we have 2 new teachers in our English department, Cameron Smith and Richard Pace, who was also filling in a role at the middle school last year as well. And then we also have a long-term sub in English filling in for a maternity leave, and that is Hillary Lynch. We have a new member of our world language department for teaching Spanish, and that's Patricia Cordova. And then we also have a 6-week leave position for biology for a paternity leave, and we were fortunate to find Edward Tivnan, who is also certified in biology, and he's really hit the ground running in those classes. And then we also have 4 new IAs that are here in the building. We have Tim Sidley, we have Jonathan Blinderman, Danae Angiulo, and Jared Mercier. And we still do have just throw it out there, 3 positions that we're looking to fill, but hopefully we will get there. But everybody has been extremely flexible, especially in the special ed department, picking up extra responsibilities and administratively as well, so that all services are being met. But once we land those other positions, things will be good to go. All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Actually, hang tight, Mr. Wolf. Yeah, right? Because aren't we gonna go right on to the field trip?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Want me to stay up, or do you want to
Yeah.
transition? All right.
Yeah, we're just rolling here, okay? Did you want to say anything, Superintendent, or?
No, I just, once again, thank our administrators. I think visited all the schools, pretty much saw almost every teacher, and I just think, as Ms. Rossi said, it's a different feel. If you recall last year at this time, we forget. I forgot about a pandemic already. But I remember last year at this time, we were talking about how we were going to open schools because we were back to mass. If you recall, there was a lot of work with the social distancing, and then even athletics. There was no fans in the stands at this time. They had to modify how athletics, the fall sports, were going to be played. So we were really never had the opportunity to open school the way we have. And once again, I just want to credit everybody, even the parents, for being very flexible, especially, I rode the bus, and of course my bus was the latest one, but parents were, in the staff were, they were great. And today, we went down to preschool and kindergarten started today. I visited at the wrong time. I visited during rest time and snack time.
Sounds like the right time.
Yeah, you went to the snack time?
Well, I was looking to see which students aren't finishing the snacks, so that's, I'm gonna go back tomorrow. But no, it's just awesome. We have a great school community. We have a lot of support from this community. We have a lot of support from the school committee, and it's just nice to have such a smooth opening where there's a lot of enthusiasm again, a lot of people are excited to learn, and so far, so good.
Excellent.
There you go.
So, should we hear about this field trip?
I just have a question.
Yeah.
Follow-up. Thank you all for the update. Superintendent, at some point, if it was possible, we could get a breakdown of the new hires, the number of new hires by school, and if possible, just indicate if they're replacing a teacher that has left or if it's a new position. I know we went through this in the budget, but I know that it's up to you to kind of decide how things get managed, and I think that would be helpful. Retention and how we're doing in that department is on top of a lot of people's minds, and it sounds like we're doing a great job finding replacements, but I just think having that current in our minds as we go into the next budget cycle would be helpful. So if that's possible to just break down by school how many new positions we created and then how many new hires, either to replace a new person, to replace a retiring person or someone leaving, would be helpful.
No problem.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay. Should we call up Mr. Wolf now? Yep.
He's up.
So you're going to tell us about the proposed field trip to New York City?
Yes.
Sounds exciting.
Yes, so it's actually, I think it's been a few years since they've been able to do this. So they're bringing it back, where prior to their show season, they had traditionally brought a group of students down from the theater program in New York City to check out a show, but then also take tours of theater design programs, so that students can kind of get a little bit of inspiration as they're thinking about the shows that they will do this school year. This late fall is Tartuffe, and I believe that is what they are prepping for. And then Miss Zaleski and Miss Williams, what they are, right now, I think the students have until still 2 weeks to confirm whether or not they're going, so they're trying to get a sense of numbers, but it does look like it's going to be pretty popular, so they have approximately 20 students that definitely have shown interest. And the trip is, what they have scheduled would be November 5th through the 8th, and then staying at the Ameritania Hotel in New York City, and they've developed an itinerary to get them to see a show, and then also at the same time get to see kind of some backstage highlights. And I think some of it also is incorporated with set design, but then also going to one of the shops where they do theater props and costumes as well.
Great. You mentioned about 20 interested students. Is there a cap or a limit on how many students they can
I
take?
believe they can go up to 30, so based on the bus.
So it's looking like they could take anyone who's interested in participating. Great. Yeah.
So you indicated the cost per student is $500 to $600. You're not really sure until you know how many students are going.
Correct, exactly.
Okay. And what are the options for students for affordable, to make it affordable? I mean, is there some fundraising opportunities or scholarships?
Yeah, so actually with the theater program, what they do is they use their, in the program, so when they have advertisements in the program, so students are able to use that to help subsidize their costs of the trip. So versus the theater program taking in the the proceeds from the program, it can go to the students.
Great, okay. Yeah, it sounds like a great opportunity. I think this is the kind of thing that we've been missing, right?
Oh, yes, totally, yeah.
Do we have any other questions for Mr. Wolf? Mr. Callahan?
Bruce,
Or-
you go.
oh,
I was
just going to make the motion.
Oh, so the affordability part of it, usually any kid who wants to participate in something, we will make that happen. We don't usually make them sell advertising.
Right, so that's a piece that they can use, and then we do have funding to also help subsidize students who may have an economic hardship.
I don't know how we all feel, but I've never heard about that. Hey, if you want to do this, sell some ads.
Yeah, they've been selling ads for 50 years, 60 years. I don't know, it's been a long time that they sell ads. It's just one of the ways that they raise money for other projects. I think what Mr. Wolf is saying is among those other projects can be subsidies towards offsetting some costs. But it's
Principal Wolf, can
pretty
you just
standard.
clarify, it's not the individual students that are selling the advertising, it's done as part of.
The whole program
Yeah,
is
the whole
selling,
program,
correct.
like they solicit advertisements when the. when the
But then they can allot more money to other students.
Right,
that
but it's
may
not a
have-
kid calling people up asking to place ads in the program?
No, I don't believe so.
No,
I think
it's
it's
just-
usually through families
Actually,
and stuff like
parents.
So,
that.
I've done it.
Didn't we see, Sarah, I thought you and I talked briefly, there was an email went out where the wording of it made it seem like that was it, that the children would have to sell the ads.
I think that there was
couple
an
weeks ago,
email that
right?
went out to high school families, and it was not entirely clear, which is why we wanted to ask.
So,
Yeah, and
yeah,
I
so
can
if you can
follow
find
up
out
with
about
that.
that, just
Yeah,
get rid of it. Great, thank you.
Mr. Menon, were you ready to make a motion?
Yeah, sure. I move that we accept the proposal and give permission to do the field trip.
Second?
Okay, discussion?
New York, New York.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so up next, I'm sure you saw the letter in your packet. It's from the Lions Club president, Bob LaFrance, and he is interested in our permission to put up a wall plaque in memory of a Mr. Paul Coleman, who was a teacher in the school district for 37 years.
I have a question.
So, yeah, Mr. Callahan?
So, people who don't know, I'm on the NEF, and this group has already gone to the NEF to talk about the naming right. It was turned down because there was no money involved, which is the NEF's side of things, which is fine. But so then I started looking into it and looking into the policies. And the policy book has naming opportunities in a handful of places, but some of them seem to contradict one another. And since this is the first time any of us has seen this, if I can, I'd like to make a motion that this goes to policy first, so that policy can hash out which of, it seems to be under advertising the schools, which has naming language, and that references two other policies, which it's not really related to, but then if you find a third one for student gifts and solicitations, and then a third one where it talks about the NEF's role, but then also says that the school committee can do it. So I really think that policy should kind of hash it out and see which of these policies is actually the correct one. And I know just another thing, so when it came before the NEF, and it was casual, there was no vote or anything like that. So naming, like naming a, this room or something, in my mind, it's the same. If you've got a plaque on a wall that has someone's name on it, and you walk by it to get into a room every day, it's a naming of the space. That's just my personal opinion, but I really think the main part is just getting these policies
Did you
sorted.
get a second?
Yeah, I would support that. I'd second it.
Okay, great. And so discussion, then we can just move forward with some discussion. Yeah.
Walking past a plaque on a wall to me is, what do you name it, a wall? I don't see any request to name any space at all in this.
I get it, that's, but I really think that policy should go over the two or three that are referencing this to make sure what the rule is, because you're kind of avoiding the purpose of the naming policy, which is to raise money for the buildings. And it's the Lions Club, it's not like one parent trying to, put a plaque out. That's just my recommendation, that policy goes and looks at it and decides what these actually mean.
Yeah, I just want to say that I don't object to the plaque itself. I think I would have approved it tonight, but I think Mr. Callahan brings a good point. I think we should be knowing what our authority is to approve these and not just voting to approve them. And as a new school committee member, I would appreciate the reference to a specific policy as to why we are even approving this. So I think that, for that purpose, I think it would be helpful just to have it go to policy and we can clarify that. And frankly, I think if we bring it as a motion, it would reference the specific policy that we're approving it under. I think that would be really helpful in the future for clarification. And I think, to me, this doesn't sound like a big issue, but I would agree with Mr. Callahan, just clarifying what our role is.
I would support that as well. As a new member, having not come across anything like this before, I certainly don't want to slight the NEF in any way with the amazing work they do to raise funds for us. So I think as long as we do this the right way, we can get it done. Does any other thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know that they're mutually exclusive, that we can't approve this and send it to policy for clarification. It's a person who contributed significantly to the school district.
Can you, Bruce, use your microphone?
Sure.
Sorry, she's
Yeah,
waving at me.
it's a person who contributed significantly over a very long period of time. It's an organization that's been really supportive of the schools. I'm going to vote no on the process. I think that policy should figure it out, but I don't see any reason for delaying doing this.
I don't disagree with anything what Bruce just said, but there's also no rush to do it. It came to the NEF months ago. So if we don't do it now, when does policy meet?
Yeah, we'll meet this one, right?
I think.
Yes.
Is there?
Next week.
I feel like I saw a date on here. It's coming right up?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I just want to be sure that we follow the policies that we have, and if we're not going to follow them, don't have them, right? And that's part of the whole audit with
The
masks.
policy meets on
Right.
the 12th, and then a week later, we meet. So we could take a couple weeks.
We have a number of places in the schools that have been named for people that didn't result in a lot of money coming to the schools. Under what authority do we do that? I mean, I know Nikki Stashevsky, I think there's an area in the school that's dedicated to her. I don't know what authority we did, but we've done it in the past.
Right. This one is
It's not a fundraising thing.
This one's from 2017, and it says that we don't have to accept or reject any money that has been offered in terms of a naming right. But then again, there's a whole part about the NEF and that it's their job, and they have the whole list of locations, which includes other areas, not just a specific Portside Gallery room.
But it's all under the rubric of naming.
Yeah, and it kind of moves around, but the references in it reference things that don't really have something to do with it. So it's part of the whole thing. So it's really just about the process, what this means. They've already gone to the NEF, who said no because it didn't match their rules, which is what I believe we give them the rights to administer namings.
Naming things, dedicating a space to a specific.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can debate all day about whether a plaque with someone's names on it is naming an area or not, but if people are gonna vote no to have it go to policy, then I'll just abstain from the actual vote.
Please weigh in, yeah.
Yeah, we talked about this a few years ago, I think, too, because I think at the time, I think, Bruce, I remember you and I being on the same page of this, but I think the policy was written in a way that, like an advertiser or a company couldn't come in and donate so much money and then have the gym named after them. So we wanted to have some sort of school committee control over that. And I agree with Bruce. I mean, like I said, I'm 100%, 110% for this. I think, the NEF is pretty specific about a dollar figure, and I think we did that a couple of years ago too. We had to approve the list of, places that could be named, places that were already named, and the dollar amount. I mean, I said, this plaque is gonna go in the gym. I think NEF is asking for a $10,000 donation, so I don't imagine the Lions Club is gonna raise $10,000 when they're just trying to dedicate, something for a teacher who worked here for so long. So this is tough for me because I think it's great to honor people that have given so much to the district. I don't think it should be tied to money. I think it's great that, the NEF does get these opportunities, but, some of the naming opportunities you walk around the schools too are nobody that had any impact on the school. It's just someone who had enough money and they wanted to have something named after somebody too. So I'm happy with this going to policy next, in a couple weeks or in a week to talk about it, but I'd be happy to vote for this tonight because I do think it's, it's just something that they'd like to have up in the school to honor, honor a teacher who worked there for a long time.
Great.
Just one
Yeah,
follow-up
yes.
comment. Again, I want to reiterate that I don't necessarily disagree with having a memorial plaque. I'm not clear what our authority is here. And there was no policy referenced in the motion or in the items that was presented to us today. So I don't know what our authority is, nor what we're supposed to review as part of the content or anything like that. And to me, that's just something, this due diligence that I would like to know more about in terms of my role voting on this specific action.
Okay. Anyone else? Mr. Cole?
Yeah, thank you. Short and sweet here. I think not recognizing Mr. Coleman and his contributions at a number of levels, football coach, teacher. I personally, I had him for biology 1, biology 2, and I sat right up in front of him. And in fact, we're both BU alum. And one of the things I remember when I sat up in front of him is his college ring, which I proudly have won now, just like it. Mr. Coleman was a great guy, and I think the wise thing to do here is to move this forward, but also bring it to policy for some clarification, but to basically entertain this letter from the Lions Club, which people have mentioned have done a lot of good things in this community and on behalf of the schools. I think not to move it forward in a positive way would really be remiss on our part. And I would just like to say, let's move it forward tonight, and then as a policy subcommittee, let's discuss ways to clarify what needs to be clarified. Thank you.
Sorry. I hate that this is becoming such a debated topic because honestly, I don't understand why this is so complicated. I don't see how we could act on something we don't know what we're acting on. And if you can clarify what the specific policy is that we're approving this under, then that would help me. But I don't understand how we can make a motion and then also refer it to the policy.
Yes, Mr. Cole.
The way I look at this, we received the letter, and they're requesting permission to purchase and mount a memorial wall plaque of a recently deceased past teacher. So we're really responding to this letter first and foremost. And it's how we respond to this letter, I think, is really important.
Okay.
And I think if we can say to the Newburyport Lions Club that, yes, we recognize Mr. Coleman's dedication, contribution to young people at many levels, and we need to have an opportunity to clarify and before we provide permission.
Fantastic.
So I just see us really responding to the letter.
Yep.
And, moving forward in a positive way.
Right. So just being clear with the Lions Club that we're not saying no, we're just
Right.
following proper
Right.
process and we support their request.
Yeah.
So we have to do a new motion based on anything, or
Do you want to amend the
or
motion?
change the motion?
Could amend the motion.
I'm not even sure what I should amend it to be.
Would it be
That we
amended?
acknowledge the letter, motion to acknowledge the letter from the Lions Club, but refer this to policy. Is that, Steve, what you're saying?
I think that we accept the letter from the Newburyport Lions Club and refer it to policy.
Can that be the motion?
Yeah.
And do we have a second for that?
I second that one.
Okay, any further discussion? Any
What
concerns?
about the first motion?
Well, that was the amended version of it, right?
Okay.
You want to just withdraw your motion and let Steve make the motion?
I will withdraw my original motion, have it be replaced by Steve's motion.
And I withdraw my second, and I seconded Steve's as well.
Thank you, Julie, and I got a
Yep.
little confused.
I don't blame you.
Okay, thank you. Are we up to speed there? All set, Mrs. Kennedy? And I hope everyone's feeling like we're on the same page at this point. Say all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, thank you. We may have some subcommittee updates now. Finance, Mr. Callahan.
Finance has not met. We'll meet at 8 a.m. on the 14th. Correct, Mr. Littlehill? And that's it. We have nothing else to say about that. Although, I just thought about this because of the NEF thing. That should probably go on there, too. Sean always spoke about what happened in an NEF meeting at the subsequent school committee, so I think maybe just add that to the list.
Okay,
if we can
sure.
for the next, because I think the next NEF is 2 weeks from tomorrow. So then the following school
So that would
committee
be
meeting.
after our meeting, correct?
Oh, ours is Monday the 19th, right? Yeah, but then we'll have one on the 3rd or 4th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Great. Ms. Spalding, policy.
Yes, policy will be meeting on September 12th from 7 to 8 in the Knock Library, and we will be beginning the review of the policy manual with Dorothy Presser. She's going to come in and talk us through the process, and we will also be looking at some of our policies pertaining to naming rights.
Excellent, right. So we likely can move forward with that in a couple of
Yes.
weeks. That's
Yes.
excellent. Okay. Mr. Menon, any news on Joint Ed?
I haven't had conversation about scheduling with FROs. I assume that we will be meeting on October 3rd, which will be before the next school committee meeting for Joint Ed.
Okay. Have we talked about going back to meeting before as opposed to the night after? Or-
In that case, we would do the 4th. So,
Okay.
yeah, I'll clarify that with FROs.
That was always tough, though. There was a reason why we moved that, 'cause it's
Right.
tough, it's tough on Sean and whoever's at that meeting.
Mr. Menon, when are you going to meet?
I think we're gonna.
We
would-
come sometimes.
If we work according to the schedule we have, it would be the 4th, Tuesday the 4th.
Okay.
But I will verify.
You can
that.
follow up on that, let us know at the next one, okay? Ms. Walker, Transportation Advisory?
Yeah, a quick update on that. We did send out a survey, and I did check this morning. It looks like we got about over 540 responses, maybe more since this morning. So appreciate staff getting that out. I think that was a good effort, and that's a pretty good cross-section of the student family population, and it looked like it was pretty distributed by grade. So we'll have a report when we report back to the full school committee, but we'll be probably talking a little bit about that and starting to formulate our recommendations to the full school committee, which we anticipate doing in October. So our next meeting is next Tuesday at 4.
Great, thank you. Superintendent's report.
All right, just a update on school choice and also international students. So we've had actually enrolled to this point, district-wide, 23 students. So we've had, I can go through the list for you. We had grade 1, we had 3 students enroll. Grade 2, 2 students. Grade 6, 5 students. Grade 7, 2 students. Grade 8, 1 student. Grade 9, 5 students. Grade 10, 3. And grade 11, 2. So we're at 23 overall. We approved 69 slots, and a couple weeks ago, we were at 49 students that accepted school choice. But at this time, we only have 23 that have enrolled. So our principals and Ms. Yell are reaching out to those families to see if they are coming or not. So that's our school choice update. We are excited. If you recall, we really expanded the Educations program, the International Students Program. Over the past couple years, my first 2 years, we started bringing in international students, but once again, when COVID hit, obviously, that took a toll. So at this time, we have 10 students from 8 different countries, and the countries that are represented are Australia, Brazil, Chile, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and Venezuela. The majority of it's grade 12 and also in grade 11. So that's a program that is really expanding. Mr. Wolf has done a great job really working with Educations and promoting Newburyport Public Schools.
The students that are coming to us in 11th grade, will they stay till 12th grade, through 12th grade?
They stay for 1 year. So some of them come in for a half a year, and then others are coming in for the full year. So it's 10 months in a public school.
Can I just, so Australia, Brazil, Chile, Italy, Spain, Venezuela, there's a couple I missed.
Yep, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and Venezuela.
France and Germany, thank you.
Were we able to find housing for all those kids?
There was 2 students, so for the 10, we have housing for all 10. There's 2 students that we were still looking. So it could be a total of 12, but at this point, it's 10. Because we solidified the housing.
Superintendent Gallagher, I have a question about those school choice seats. If those families or those students don't enroll, do those seats open up to other prospective students?
We typically, once school starts, we give like a little, maybe the first 2 weeks of school, but then we end up, it's hard for, I think, both for the school choice family and, for our school system to accept like throughout the school year. So we kind of put a cutoff date and then close them out and then, reopen. We have the same conversation next spring of how many seats we're going to open up.
Ms. Walker? Is it typical to have that many not respond? So it's about 7, what is it, like over 70?
Like half.
Yeah, well, we had, let me just see. We had 49 that we assumed were coming in because they made the commitment. About half of that. Typically, that is.
So 49 committed and half
23. Have
23
fully enrolled at this point, correct.
And is that typical, or is that unusual for this year, do you know?
I think it's a little unusual.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. I mean, there could be many reasons too for that.
What are typical, sorry to belabor this, but what are typical reasons that people don't end up committed?
Well, it's choice.
Yeah.
If they stay at their district, they could
Yeah,
go
they
to,
could stay-
they could apply to a couple of different schools and gone
Correct.
into all of them.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking though, if they committed, doesn't that kind of indicate that they aren't looking at other districts, or do we require any kind of formal indication of that?
Well, we don't. It's,
Okay.
I mean, up to the enrollment of school,
So that's
they
the
can give
state.
us a verbal commitment but if they're not registering,
Yeah.
as the mayor said, they could just decide to stay within their own district.
Okay.
Or maybe
Or they
they've
move.
applied to other
Okay.
districts.
I'd just be interested in knowing how that impacts like our overall planning, because if people are,
It's not,
staffing levels
right,
and
and
things
that's,
like that.
we don't plan on, when we look at our school choice, we can open up slots, but we don't, our staffing patterns of the kids that are here, and would be additional students that we could take in. So it's,
It's nice with choice because you're not adding teachers. You're looking at what
Correct.
you have and say, oh, you know what, we could add something.
We could add a
That's
few,
good, that's good,
right,
that's good.
correct.
So it doesn't change if
Okay.
it's
Exactly.
Affect the budget if we were looking forward to X amount and then it's cut. Do you,
I don't- yeah,
do
we
you have
really
that
don't-
kind of as like an extra, or is it really like, oh no, we needed those 10 other kids?
No, I think school choice, you're not saying, oh, we need 50 students every year, or we're gonna lose X. School choice funding, you kind of, I think just, you take a look over the years of what you've kind of been bringing in, and then you kind of ballpark what that revenue would be, but you're really not, for us, staffing patterns and our budget isn't really relied on those school choice students. That's just something extra that may can't come in. That's, it's beneficial. But as the reimbursement rate is still, it's not per pupil expenditure. You're still only at $5,000 to $6,000 per student. So it's really a benefit. It's more of a benefit for the families coming into Newburyport than it is for us to reap economic
I mean, you're really
benefits.
offering that where there's rooms in the, literally room in the classroom, and, it's something the school committee votes on per your recommendation.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
Historically, when I first started, Newburyport had the highest rate of choice funding because in the state, it was well over $1.2 million, $1.5 million in choice funds, and just seen this sort of steady.
Right. And over the years, since I've been here, we've increased school choice. So a lot of the students last year, they are now part of the enrollment. So so you're probably not going to be receiving, 60 to 70 students every single year, because eventually the students that are choicing into Newburyport, those families have already got in. So these are just new additional families.
So when you say 23 enrolled, that's newly enrolled this year?
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay,
Yeah.
so the overall number of choice students is higher than that, correct?
This number plus the international students also.
But then you have okay.
You're just talking about
The existing ones are already part of the enrollment. Yeah, we don't
Then
we
we're
don't
not
count them.
counting them as choice.
Correct.
But they don't make an annual payment? Is it a one-time payment?
No, it's an annual payment.
Okay, so
Yes.
just in terms of.
But they don't go through that process every year, once they're in the district.
Correct.
Right. No, I'm just thinking in terms of the revenue,
Mm-hmm.
we are looking at a higher number that's paying to choice
Correct.
into
This
the
is just
district.
the 23 additional.
Additional, okay.
Yeah. And part of our budget documents, we have, I think, full school choice. I want to say we're close to 90 students plus this additional 23.
Okay, that's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And did you say that someone is following up with these families
Yes.
that were interested and haven't
Reaching out,
registered? So perhaps, some more will register. Great, did you?
I was just going to say, just for I guess for your, Juliet and yours benefit too. I mean, school choice was just brought back about 5 years ago. I mean, it had stopped for a long time. So, we're trying to, build that back up, and we've been able to do that since Sean jumped on board.
That's great. I mean, 90 students
Mm-hmm.
that's excellent. Okay. Is that it? Yeah?
That's all I had, just a school choice and international student update.
Great. So, Mr. Menon, you were going to walk us through the self-evaluation that you're working on?
Yeah, I sort of wanted to give you a little bit of background. I was tasked with putting together some sort of evaluation form, knowing that the state requires us every other year to evaluate the superintendent. The question arose, should we be doing something in the off year? And most of the research that I did on evaluations were really just the standard, forms that the state had. And then I got the one person who responded to my request for feedback or input was Juliet. And Ms. Walker asked a number of questions that did not lend themselves to a quantitative experience for the superintendent. They actually were more qualitative and more subjective. And it occurred to me at that point that maybe what we should be doing is creating a policy that on the off years when we're not working with DESE, in their rubric, that we would have a self-evaluation done by the superintendent in a way that's shared with all of us, and we'll talk about the mechanics of that. And to that end, I looked at a number of different sort of self-evaluation tools, and I sort of created the questions. Ms. Walker should find them very familiar because I pretty much have subsumed virtually all of the questions she asked. And the idea, it seems to me, that getting a self-evaluation from the superintendent would be a lot more valuable to us than just another quantitative eval. It would give the superintendent the opportunity to sort of respond to questions. I don't see these questions as being locked in from year to year, that if, for example, if we do a new initiative like free kindergarten, we might ask him in next year, how has that gone? What have been the challenges? So these questions can change, and they're an opportunity, I think, for the superintendent to share on a more subjective level what's going on. I met with Lisa Marie this morning, and she had two very good suggestions. One is that we sort of reorganize, not using the headings that I have drafted in this draft, but we reorganize it to the 4 standards, We list the questions as in the 4 standards that are in the end-of-cycle rubric, which are instructional leadership, management operations, family and community engagement, professional culture, and then that sort of free-form piece as well. And then, is the program Vector? Vector, yes. Vector. We could arrange to have the superintendent post this on Vector. We would get Vector accounts and be able to check in and see how he's responding and even ask additional questions, follow-up questions. The one question that I had was how that then becomes available to the public, and Lisa Marie is going to take a look at what that is. She's going to talk to Michelle. But so if, in effect, what would happen would be we would agree on the questions every other year. They would get plugged into Vector. The superintendent would be responding to them over the course of a week or a couple of weeks. We would have access to them at any time, and then we would figure out the next step for a public presentation of that. But it's not, it is not by design quantitative. We're not scoring it. We're not doing 1 to 4. Because I just think that, you know, Ms. Walker's questions really were very thoughtful to me, and they were actually information that we want that you're not going to get out of the DESE evaluation. So I thought that that would be more valuable. There aren't any other districts that I could find in the state that are doing this, but I really think it would be useful. I think it would address the concerns that people had raised before, and I think it would give the superintendent an opportunity in a much more flexible framework to respond to the questions. So the way I see this happening is we have the discussion today. I'm suggesting that this would go pretty quickly to policy, because we would then establish a policy that the every other year is a self-eval for the superintendent. And that is, in effect, that's the report from the Superintendent Eval Committee at this point. I'm happy to answer any questions. You know, I used Ms. Walker's questions as a basis, but then I took a look at a lot of other things that we've been doing to try to find a way to give the superintendent a forum for saying, this is working, this has been challenging, these are some supports that might be helpful. So, and again, it's not really something you get out of the end of cycle evaluation form. So I think it's innovative. I think it meets the needs that we have as a district, and provides another avenue for the superintendent to share information with us that I think is useful. So I would ask the superintendent his thoughts about it, but then certainly open it up to everybody. But the mechanism is that it goes to policy. At the same time, if these are the questions we want, if we want to add more, we can do that. That would then go to Lisa, and she would plug that into Vector, and we could begin this self-eval process.
Do you have a timeline in mind, or just?
No, I don't. I would love to see this move quickly. I mean, I would love to give the superintendent an opportunity to do the self-eval over the next 2 or 3 weeks, but that all depends on the decisions we make, whether we're adopting this. You know, policy is a separate thing, but, so yeah, no, I don't see any reason why, you know, unless people think it's a really bad idea, I don't see any reason why we would need to delay this.
Did you send an email out to the group, like, asking for questions, or?
I did. I asked at the school committee meeting, I said, please get in touch with me with any feedback that you have, and obviously one person heard me, so.
I think it first came up at our retreat.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was sort of taking the ball and running with it a little bit, but I think that this is going to serve us better than picking something off the internet and quantifying it, and just, we don't need to recreate the end of cycle evaluation. It's pretty comprehensive, and it, in fact, at this point is even being revised to be better than it's been. But we don't need to wait another year to ask some of these questions and get some responses on them. So.
Do you want to weigh in, Superintendent?
Yeah, I'm open to the off year, very similar to a professional status teacher where, it's a 2-year cycle. So they get their summative, year 1, year 2 is like a formative assessment. That's not the summative, the final review. So I think a self-reflection type of form or self-evaluation it's similar to what our professional status teachers undergo. So, and I think the other piece that will make it easier for all of us is to utilize the vector system that we're utilizing for teachers and administrators already, and along with central office staff. So you all would have access, individual access to my self-evaluation and evidence, and you can. So I think it's a great idea. If that's what the school committee wishes, we can put something together and kind of move forward on that on the off years.
Yes, Ms.
Yeah, I
Walker.
appreciate Bruce, Mr. Mena spending time putting this together, because I did feel that this is a better track than really. My questions were primarily around, qualitative, getting feedback from you on what you think, how you think you're doing, and what your goal setting would be. And it's similar to what on other boards I've been on when we've evaluated or done a 360 evaluation kind of situation with a board president or executive director. It's something that I've found useful in my position in other situations. So, and I think vector sounds familiar to me, but maybe a tool we've used. So if you're receptive to it, I think it would, and if the committee is, I think it would be nice to have that opportunity. And again, I don't know that I think of it as evaluation so much as just it's more like a goal setting exercise, or just an opportunity to get feedback, and hear from you specifically, without it being some part of some formal ranking or scoring process. So.
And again, the questions are not, these are this year's questions.
Right.
Next year, there may be different questions, which would give the Superintendent Evaluation Committee more work to do, which is great. Because I hate waking up every 2 years to do something. But yeah, it's a process I think that would be really helpful.
So I just have a practical question, and this is maybe for Ms. Ippolito, maybe for the superintendent. Just setting this up in Vector, and you were talking about us getting access. Is that all feasible?
Yes.
Doable, manageable? Okay, good. Good. So I notice we don't have this listed as anything we're voting on for tonight. So as far as the next steps, is it just a discussion in policy about not the specifics of it, but just the fact that we would be doing this every other year?
Yes, that would
we're
be
not
our,
listed
that would be
as
our
voting
policy.
on something, so
Right,
we
no,
just
we're not
would have a
listed
next
as voting
step.
on something.
Okay,
Yeah, I would say probably that was an oversight on my part,
okay.
that I should have listed it as a potential vote.
Well, I know it's still a
Right.
work in progress.
Right.
You said you had a meeting this morning, so maybe
Right.
we can think of this sort of like a first read, right?
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think the questions and the process are two separate things, right?
Exactly. Mhm.
So, I mean, if it's okay with other folks, even though we didn't list this as a vote item, maybe we could just formally refer it to policy related to the process, to review and make a recommendation back to the full committee related to the process for the self-evaluation.
I can extract, if I can't attend the policy meeting, I can extract what I think the policy should cover for your conversation. I'll try to attend that meeting, though.
Great. Yep, Mr. Cole?
Yeah, thank you. So just a question, because the word policy's coming up, but yet there's some flexibility in this process where it could be different every other year. And it's really largely dependent on the performance of the superintendent.
Some of it has to do with the performance of the superintendent, but some of it has to do with where the district is.
Okay.
What initiatives are we?
Okay. So again, it's really something that's being done in collaboration with the superintendent, but also with some structure that Ms. Ippolito, referenced you to.
Right.
Okay. I'm just saying, I'm just bringing this up because, we're fortunate that Mr. Gallagher's doing a great job, and I would just envision that if we had a superintendent that wasn't doing such a great job, we'd have some type of maybe different policy. But again, I think this really speaks to the fact that, our school district's moving forward. How can we continue to get it even better, and how can we do it in a collaborative way? And I support that as long as there's some structure that, again, you and Ms. Ippolito mentioned, and, using Vector, I think will help further that, reaching us that goal.
I suspect that this body of questions may get tweaked a little bit to just make sure it fits into one of those 4 categories. But if there are additional questions people have, we can certainly discuss that. But again, this was the draft. It addressed some of the topics raised by Ms. Walker, as well as stuff that I could see online and my own thinking on it as a committee of one. So,
Great.
yeah.
So do you like the idea of making a motion to refer this to policy, just generally having a policy around self-evaluation on the off years?
Right, and then
you could bring back something a little more final for us?
I could bring back something more final. We
Okay.
could, at the next school committee meeting, I would assume. Does that work? Next school committee meeting, we could have it up on Vector and show people what it...
Yes.
Okay.
Just a little more homework.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What were the 4, I'm sorry, what were the
The
4
4
categories?
topics are instructional leadership, management and operations, family and community engagement, and professional culture. And I thought that was a pretty good suggestion to sort of, because these questions do kind of fit in there, they're just not organized that way. So,
That aligns with the Friday memos, right? Is the way
Correct.
you're presenting information under those headings. So that makes sense. Yeah.
the other aspect of it that I just think was positive is that it does align with what we're doing with our professional staff. That this is kind of what they do, and I think it's just allows us to be more consistent. And again, I don't know why, but nobody that I was able to find is doing this. But I'm more concerned about what's best for our district, and I think this is.
Absolutely. We can be trendsetters. So do you want to make a motion?
Sure, yeah, I move that we submit this proposal to policy to consider how we would create a process for doing this. And then, as well, I guess part of the motion is that I continue to work with Ms. Ippolito to put together a product for our next school committee meeting for everybody to see.
Can I just point of order for a second?
Yes.
Can we, I mean, we don't have vote on the agenda, so can we vote on something that wasn't?
Well, that's why I was asking about it earlier. I wasn't sure that we could.
We're saying it's policy, I don't think we need to put that on the agenda.
I think the reason we list the votes is for transparency, and that's why I asked if people are comfortable with moving this to policy. We're not taking a formal vote to accept it or adopt it, we're just referring it to policy.
Yeah.
I think if people are comfortable bringing it back at a future agenda, I'm fine with that too, but I don't think it's required that it be listed as a vote on the agenda. I think that's more for transparency, so people understand that it's a potential vote.
Okay, well, I'm open to either.
Yeah, I think we could have this be an agenda item for policy and not be something that we have to send there. I mean, you could just make this.
Formally, right.
I'm sure I can put this on the next agenda.
It's on
if
it.
she wants to.
But
I was just
again,
asking
the understanding
a
is that, do I have a general sort of understanding that I'll be working with Ms. Ippolito to create the product that will be available for everybody to look at the next meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so what, between this meeting and the next meeting, what do we need in policy to get done what we need to get done? Because
I don't think that we need to have a policy to do this. I think that,
I'm not looking for a policy, I'm just saying that we have some narrative here. And you're asking, or it's being recommended that policy takes a look at it.
At the process.
Right, the process. Okay, so what additionally do we need, or do you want policy to determine the process?
I will make recommendations to policy about their process, but policy's job is to figure out policy. So I have recommendations to make, but that's their conversation.
Right.
Hopefully, it continues in the spirit in which the proposal was offered.
Yeah, okay.
But
All
if it
right.
ain't, I'm a
Okay.
big boy, I can deal with it.
Okay.
But I just
so-
want to, again, there's no rush, but I would like to get this going.
Moving. Great.
So,
So it sounds like we can skip the motion. I feel comfortable thinking of this as like a first reading of the self-evaluation process, and then next time we have it more finalized, policy has had a chance to weigh in, and then we can take a vote on it the next meeting. Does everyone feel comfortable with that?
For
Yes.
clarification purposes for our minute taker,
Yeah.
just, are you clear that no vote was taken, made or taken?
There is no motion.
no motion, nothing was drawn.
Okay.
Just a discussion.
And again, I wanted to express my appreciation to Ms. Walker for starting my thought process on this and having me look at it in a different way. So,
Okay, so that's a wrap on that. All right, so I am going to move that we enter executive session for the purpose of discussing contract negotiations, possible litigation, and legal matters. We will be returning to open session. I need a second.
Second.
And a roll call, please.
Okay, let me just. Mayor Reardon,
Yes.
Ms. Hall,
Yes.
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Ms. Walk, I'm sorry,
Yes.
Ms. Spalding,
Yes.
Mr. Menon,
yes.
Mr. Cole.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll be back to wrap up the meeting, hopefully 10 to 15 minutes.
So does We should have all come out of executive session wearing our t-shirts.
Should we turn the camera off and?
It's game day.
I would have gone for that.
I am going to bring gummy worms next meeting for us to share on TV.
Great. Do we need a thumbs up from the crew here?
Sarah, we're good to go.
Okay.
Okay.
So yes, we are back, and next on the agenda is superintendent's salary. Yep.
So we are in executive session, and I would now like to make a motion to raise the superintendent's salary this year to 3%. Can I have a second?
Retroactive to July.
This is retroactive to July 1st.
Second.
Second. Any discussion?
You've done a great job, Sean, and we're pleased to be able to recognize that in some small way.
Thank you. I appreciate, as I said, this is, when I applied here and went through the process 5 years ago. This was, I think the question was, one of the questions that you all asked was, how long are you going to stay? And I said, as long as you all want me here, I'll be here. And I would like to continue the great work, working with a great school committee and district and community, because I think, there's great things that are going to continue to happen here, and I would love to stay here till the day I get to retire. So I just truly appreciate your support and appreciate the increase here, and thank you so much.
Thank you. We're very happy to hear that.
I've already got your plaque ready that we're going to Randyll hallway.
We're waiting for a letter from the Lions Club.
I don't know. We'll have to work on that. Mrs. Kennedy, we will need to do.
Anybody else want to say
Yeah,
something?
I would just like to say I agree with Mr. Menon and the mayor's comments. I think it's our vote tonight is reflective of the confidence we have in you, but also the work you've done over the past year in particular, 2 years, 3 years, during the pandemic. And I think it also reflects, consistency with the other raises that we've given to other staff in the district this year. And again, a recognition of the immense challenge that staff have faced, and that you are valued, not just you, but all of the staff in the district. And I think your leadership has been phenomenal, but I think also not to belittle all the great work that has been done at all levels. So I think it shows a consistent support by the committee that we hope people hear and appreciate.
You're here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I echo that too. I mean, for me, I still feel like, you still have so many more places to take us, right? We just adopted a new strategic plan, which you headed, which was great. It was nice to see you take charge of that process and get us to a point where we can see a roadmap for the next 5 years. I think you've brought on some great people. You've built your team, which you didn't get to do right off the bat either, which has been nice to see. So, and plus we've had, 2+ years of a pandemic, so we haven't had, not the checks and balances, but we haven't had the, check on how we're doing, or the evaluations, or the, data to kind of really show growth and show, I think we're really just celebrating of how you've steered us through this tough time for the school district. So I'm excited. I mean, again, I think 3% is great. I mean, you're worth every penny of it, but I'm excited to see where you take us from here on out. And I think that's going to be reflective of where we are as a district, and we're going to be able to really show that to the community as well.
I just imagine where he'd take us with a 5% raise. I mean, so much farther.
So,
You see what we have to deal with? Anyone?
I want to make a motion to go back into executive session.
Yeah, do it.
I'm changing my vote.
Ms. Spalding, did you want to say something?
I agree with the other comments that were made, and I believe this is well-deserved. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I echo all of it. Very grateful.
Thank you.
To be a part of such an amazing team with you at the helm here. So, Mrs. Kennedy, we will need a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Mayor Reardon,
Yes.
Ms. Hall,
Yes.
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Ms. Walker,
Yes.
Ms. Spalding,
Yes.
Mr. Menon,
Yes.
and Mr. Cole.
Yes.
Okay. There you have it.
Anyone have any new business? I actually have some new business. So, so it looks like we're targeting, just to get this all on everyone's radar, October 3rd, our first meeting in October for the Public Safety Forum around the schools. So, I mean, we can talk to Superintendent a little bit about that, but I envision there'll be some sort of presentation, kind of similar to the binder that we all received at the retreat. And then I'll have some of the police department there as well. Our resource officer and one of the lieutenants will be there that night to kind of talk. But again, hopefully we'll get the word out to the community. And like I said, that was a very well-attended meeting the last time we did it. So that would be the second meeting. And maybe that the first meeting in October, maybe that second meeting in October, we can start thinking about maybe having some initial discussions with Lisa Marie around, the curriculum subcommittee. Like I said, I would like to talk about that a little bit throughout the fall, and then, we'll see if we can implement something in January.
Great.
Are you still thinking the senior center is sufficient space for the safety forum?
I think so,
That'll
yeah.
be okay, great.
Yeah.
It's always nice if you don't have to book a different space.
Yep.
Any other new business?
I move that we adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Stand adjourned.